joined by Teri Holland. Teri, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Teri, can you share a little bit about your background and how you got started and what you're doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background, well, I have a very diverse background. So how far back do we want to go?
As far as you want.
So before I did what I do today, I was a personal trainer and sports nutritionist. And before I did that, I was an actor and very involved in the theater. So I've had sort of three distinct careers that all uniquely led me into what I'm doing today, which is NLP, hypnotherapy, and timeline therapy that I packaged together under high performance coaching.
So, Teri, you went from theater to fitness coaching to coaching what you're doing today. Can you help connect the dots a little bit and expand on like how did those changes happen?
Yeah, well, they happened accidentally. None of them were ever planned. So I was an actor from a very young age in theater. I never had any ambitions to do film or TV, but I loved the theater. And what I didn't love about it was it wasn't very lucrative financially. So I was always working in restaurants or doing jobs that I didn't like just to pay the bills. And I thought, if this is going to be my life, I don't want to do this anymore. So I was trying to think of ways that I could make money and but doing something that I enjoyed doing day to day, but still have the flexibility to go to auditions and be an actor. And so I was joking with my husband, and I would joke with him about, well, maybe I'll become a personal trainer. And we both thought that that was really funny because I had zero athletic background, and he was the athlete, I was the artist. That's how we always related to each other. And then one day he said, well, why don't you do it? And he had seen an ad in the newspaper for the Hilltop Academy, which is a personal training school here in Vancouver. And he thought, he said, why don't you do it? There's a school you can go to. And so I looked into it and I decided, why don't I do this? So I became a personal trainer, but always with the intention that it would support my acting.
Mm.
And then several months into being a personal trainer, I heard myself say to a client, I used to be an actor. And that really caught me off guard. And I thought, wait, used to be? When did I decide that I wasn't? And I realized I felt okay with that, that chapter in my life had closed, unknowing to me, it had closed. And I was okay with it. I'd found a new passion and a new purpose. And so I never went back to acting, and I've never missed it either. And so that one just happened by accident. And then when I shifted from being a personal trainer into high performance coaching, that was the more abrupt shift where I went through burnout and I had to stop everything I was doing. I was working long hours. I was doing 14-hour days, 6 days a week, training clients, but I was also doing fitness competitions. So I was overtraining. I was over dieting, and I also have an autoimmune disorder. So I was putting all of that stress on an immune system that doesn't function properly. And all of that led to massive burnout. And one day my doctor said, you have to stop everything. I wasn't allowed to work out anymore. I wasn't allowed to work the hours I was working. She let me work 2 mornings a week. That's what we negotiated. I could do two 3-hour segments in the gym training clients a week, and that was it. And so it was a very abrupt change, and I lost my income, my identity in that moment. But the alternative was, if I kept doing what I was doing, I would end up in the hospital. So, people talk about being stressed and having high cortisol levels. I had gone beyond that threshold. So my cortisol levels were extremely low. My body was barely producing enough to function. And when those tests came back, my doctor said to me, I don't know how you get out of bed in the morning. I don't know how you're even awake right now. And so it was stop everything right now, or I would end up in the hospital with adrenal failure. So that one was a very abrupt shift where I felt like everything was taken away from me. And which is what also led me to NLP and everything that I do today, because I was looking for something to help me.
It's an interesting journey, and I love the way half of it was sort of accidental, like it's just these happy accidents that were happening. Obviously, not your health crisis,
Yeah.
but the first transition that you made, how you just sort of fell into that.
Yeah.
But it also, it sounds to me like looking back, it's, having that health crisis, obviously no one wants to go through that, but that again forced you to pivot into something else and using your own, I guess, your own loss of identity to sort of help you shift that pivot. Because you were working with a coach at that point in time, weren't you? How did you decide, though, that, in working with your coach, obviously you've seen the benefits, but what inspired you to start coaching others?
Well, that felt like a very natural transition for me because being in personal training, I was coaching just in a different way. And then when I started coaching other personal trainers to grow their business, it was just a natural extension of that. And so the next logical thing was I'm going to go learn these tools that really to me seemed like magic and how quickly a person could transform. And I thought, well, if I could do this for other people, and it doesn't require me to exhaust my body in the gym every day, and I can do this thing, that would be pretty amazing. So that's what led me down that path.
Right. And who do you work with primarily?
Mostly small business owners. I do work with professionals, leaders in business, but the majority of my clients are small business owners.
And how do you find the work that you do change them in their business? What's the impact of you working with them?
Yeah, so the first thing is more confidence. They feel confident in their ability and their skills, which means they also feel confident to ask for more money. And so they end up making more money and feeling good about what they're doing every day, finding more harmony in their life so that they're not exhausted all the time, but they're doing work that they love, that they're excited to be doing. They become better communicators where they feel like they can communicate their needs, whether that's in business or in their personal relationships, where they can speak up and use their voice more effectively. Those are some of the major shifts I see.
Those are pretty major. It sounds like it's the beginning of this flywheel, right? The buildup of confidence, which increases your ability to ask more, possibly, and then that allows you to free up some time and some resources, and it just sort of expands into all facets of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful. So if we fast forward to today, what does your business look like and where are you focusing your energy?
Great question. So my weeks are very different week to week. This week has been a very busy week where I've given two different talks, one about podcasting, one about boundaries in the workplace. And I've had all of my clients were booked in this week. So I've had clients all throughout the week and also working on some business development stuff in between and taking a Facebook ads course. So that's kind of how it looks. Like if you look at my week, it's like a patchwork quilt of a whole bunch of different activities that are all fulfilling in their own ways, but very different activities.
Sounds like you have a lot going on.
Yeah.
But you enjoy it.
But I enjoy it and it's great and it's fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
The number one thing that you help your clients with?
Confidence. If there's one thing, it's confidence.
Throughout your leadership and entrepreneurial journey, is that something, or is that just through your NLP method?
I would say both. So it's something I had to develop myself personally. I was not a confident person in my younger days. I was very shy. I was very anxious. And I thought confidence was something that you were either born with and you were a confident person, or you weren't born with it. And I definitely was not born with it. But I would see people who could walk into a room and command attention, and they had presence and charisma. And I thought, wow, that would be really nice to know what that feels like. But it wasn't until I learned NLP that I really discovered that confidence is a skill and it's something we can learn. And in fact, most people aren't born with confidence and they have to learn it too. And so kind of both. I learned it through my own development and then through NLP.
I love that. Now, we all know that the entrepreneurial journey is never smooth. It's not a linear path. There are ups and downs. Can you share one challenge and one win that you've experienced in your journey?
Sure. So the major challenge in my journey, I would say, was that period of burnout where I lost my identity. I lost my income with that. I couldn't work. And I would say that was the biggest challenge that I've faced. And I had to completely change everything I was doing. and let go of everything that I thought I was and everything that I thought business was too. Because what led me to that burnout was I was overworking and I thought it was okay because I loved what I did. And so I thought, well, it's okay to work 14-hour days. It's okay to work 6 days a week. I love what I do. I love my clients. There's nothing wrong with this. But there was actually a lot wrong with it. And if I wanted to make more money, I had to find more hours because I was trading time for money. So I learned a lot of business skills through that of how to not do it again. And so now I look for multiple income streams and how to build more passive income through my business as well. So that I would say was the biggest challenge area, but biggest wins or proudest moments. The most recent big win was I gave a TEDx talk earlier this year. That was a very big win and a very proud moment for me to speak on that stage and to deliver a message that I felt very passionate about. I would say that's probably the most recent biggest one, but the other one I would say was my podcast has done incredibly well. And the first time it ranked #1 in self-improvement was a huge moment for me.
Yeah, those are two major milestones. Congratulations on reaching both of them.
Thank you.
Do you plan to do more TEDx talks in the future?
I'm not sure. I've been asked, people have asked me if I plan on doing to do a second one, but I think a TEDx talk is such a special thing where you really have to have the right idea and the right message to go on that stage. And I know I had it with the last one, and so I wouldn't say I wouldn't do another one, but I'm also not going to force it. So if I get another idea like that where I think this is a TEDx talk and this needs to be shared on a TED stage, then absolutely. But it's not something I'm seeking out to find that talk. It'll just come to me or it won't.
Right, right. No. What do you think is one habit that makes you a better leader?
I think, what I see with a lot of my clients that make them really good leaders is they are very disciplined with their time. So I would say that's one. They don't waste time and they don't spend time on activities that are not adding some sort of value either to their business or their life. So very disciplined on time. If I were to pick a second one, I would say they focus a lot on their self-care. They don't sacrifice their sleep. And, a lot of people, when they talk about self-care, they think of massages or getting their nails done. But when I talk about self-care, I mean, are you sleeping? Are you feeding yourself well? Are you covering your foundations? And that's something I see with leaders is they don't sacrifice those foundational pieces for anything, especially sleep. And if I were to say a third one, it would be that they're really good at prioritizing what's most important to them right now and blocking out all the noise around them.
Yeah, those are three key habits that I can see really build a strong foundation. And that's for anyone, be it in a leadership position or not. And I think
Yeah.
we're all leaders in our own right. You start by leading yourself. And I think these three habits really lend themselves well to the early formation of leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. So if you were to look back at an earlier version of yourself, is there one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
No, I wouldn't because I know it might sound weird, but I think that I had to go through everything that I've gone through in life to lead me to where I am today. And so I wouldn't give myself any advice that could influence any other kind of outcome because I think it all happened the way it needed to happen. And those moments of struggle were the right struggles that developed me into who I am today. So I would not say a word to my younger self. I would just let her be and let her go on her journey the way she needed to go.
Yeah, I think that's very wise. It's easy to try and give advice and in looking in hindsight, but I think you've hit the nail on the head when you say it does change your trajectory, right? And so everything that you've learned along the way were stepping stones that you needed to cover to get where you are today, for sure, for sure. What is something that has surprised or challenged your assumptions in your journey?
Yeah, I think, I've really had to learn to let people be who they are. I think, when we're younger, at least when I was younger, I thought I knew a lot more than I did. And that if I thought that this was the way you should be, then that's how people should be. And I've really learned to let that go and allow people to be who they are and who they need to be, and to not try to make them be any differently or mold them into my expectations of who they should be.
It sounds to me like you're meeting people where they are.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I'm sure that's how you approach your coaching practice as well, I would
I
imagine.
do. In NLP, we say respect the other person's model of the world. Everyone has their own unique model. And if you were to step into someone else's model of the world, you wouldn't even recognize where you were anymore. It would be so different. It doesn't mean that you have to take on their model of the world or that you have to believe in it, but just respect it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely would open up that channel of communication a little easier, right? Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So you've worn a few hats, you've done a few things in your journey to get where you are today and in your business. If we were to sit down 1 year from now, what would you like to be celebrating?
Oh, there's so many things. So I've recently started a new business with a business partner, Yahel Demeter, and we've started Teri and Yahel Business Talks. He's a brand and business growth strategist. I bring the high performance piece, and we've been enjoying our success so far, running workshops together. And now we're looking at how to expand that brand. And I would say a year from now, I want to be celebrating what we've built up over what at that time will be a year and a half of working together.
That's amazing. So can you paint the picture a little bit more? What are you envisioning at this point in time for that?
What I would guess it would look like is we're going to be running more workshops. We want to develop some products for business owners and possibly some retreats. So we'll see how it pans out. But tomorrow's our planning session to really nail down how we're building this brand.
Sounds like interesting times ahead for sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
And would those workshops be in person as well as online? Is that what you're looking to
So far,
expand to?
so far it's all in person. Because I don't know about you, but we're really tired of online and wanted to bring people back into a room for real interaction. So far it's all in person. And as of now, we don't have any interest in taking those workshops online.
No, I agree. I was just talking with someone else and who facilitates retreats in person, and there's a lot of energy and connection that you don't get in the online space, which is
Definitely.
really vital for the work that you do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Teri, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Where can listeners find you online?
I'm everywhere, but the best place to connect with me would be either through my website or Instagram. And so my website is just teriholland. Or on Instagram, it's at the Teri Holland.
We'll link that in the show notes below. And thanks again so much for joining me on the Leadership Lab. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for spending your time with me today on the Leadership Lab podcast. My hope is that this conversation sparked a new perspective or reinforced something you already knew. Until next time, keep leading with curiosity and intention.